the hot take. It's actually one I did on Twitter today. I'm interested to see what people say because I actually think. This is what's funny. Spoiler, I've even had pros behind the scenes say they agree with me and think it's a good take. But I think fans would think the opposite of this. Every fan will think esports as an industry has developed. We've expanded. We've made it better. We've increased like the resources into tournaments and formats and systems. I am not joking. It's not just because teams I do what like or don't like haven't qualified. I said it on Twitter. I think major qualification has never been as bad as it is now. Because one, first of all, even like Megas won the last fucking major and he's still rocking up through online qualify. What is that, like if he hadn't got this RMR spot by buying those players, he'd have come through an open qualifier against me and my friend and a cheater. That's who he has to beat first round to get to the fucking RMR. There's like the online component. If you don't know, because of the Legends system, it had flaws, but the best part is all the top teams were going to be at the next major because they made top 8. So it meant you were pretty much guaranteed most of the top 10 was at every major. They didn't have to go through some crazy minefield of randos online that are cheating or just complete randos. Then add in, we've got BO1s, which we always had, but it's even worse now because it's BO1 in a Swiss system. So randomized, you don't know who you're going to play in the other rounds. So if you are Falcons, by the way, like you said, Kassad, they don't know they're going to play Amcal later in the best of threes. Meanwhile, Amcal, as long as they're normal people, watched IM Katowice like the rest of us. Even passively, they were basically forced to watch the bloody demos. Then after the BO1s, now we have BO1s in MR12, guys. At least it was MR15 before with the old economy. Like, you could have some space. Now we got BO1s that are MR12. That's even more of a brutal one. You can lose the game so fast. Then I'll add in, I think the map pool is fucking terrible right now. I think it's way, way worse than the era of when you had all the... Like, back in the day when you used to play Inferno, fucking... You could even say Dust 2, fucking keep going, Mirage. Like, everyone could play these maps. They were all good maps. They were all high level. You now have that nightmare of, like, which do you not want to play? Vertigo, Anubis, H, like, give me a break. Like, I'm fucking surrounded here. Anubis only just got half decent recently. And then the last thing to say is they still have that shit economy. So essentially, I've said this before, this is the worst moment in any Counter-Strike map. It is when it's an even game between evenly matched teams, but the CT economy is one round behind. It's the worst feeling in the world, Kassad, because if you're watching as an analyst, you're like, you not only have to win these rounds as CT, you have to like not lose any men or guns. Like you're always behind the 8 ball the whole time. So in the old economy, you're right back in the game after like 2 round wins. You're just in it at that point. So if you add all this together, not only at this major, but I guarantee you for all majors here on out, if we have the same set, we're going to see loads of upsets. We're going to see loads of big names not make the major, I'll tell you right now. I think it's the worst it's ever been because even if it was scuffed in certain areas, we never had like every factor combined at once. Like I said, I give you like 5 things at once that were a negative there. You disagree, Kassad? It feels like you're not feeling this one?
I don't think, for example, like if you're a Magisk, right? Like I didn't fucking force you to change the team. You went there, like you won the major with Vitality, then you went to Falcons. Like, what do you deserve? You deserve nothing. You deserve to go to the open qualifiers. Like, unless you have a core that's come with you, right? Which he did from ends, right? He didn't deserve it himself. The more reasonable thing is to have like a proper qualification process, like and instead of like having these cheaters. And like I said before, I go to the cheaters and all these things. Like if you're a Magix, for example, like you mentioned them, like. If you are getting paid 40, 50K a month, you need to beat me and my friend that just randomly showed up for a qualifier. Not a cheater, but me and my friend and my brother and whoever, right? Because you are a professional, I'm not. I'm just a casual player who just signed up, right? You renounce your points that you deserve and the right to play to the next major because you went to another team. Completely brand new team. So you need to start over. So get your ass into the fucking open qualifier and play. But how about we have the proper system and the proper fucking anti-cheat? So we don't have these cheater problems right now. And we have competent admins instead of volunteers who are doing job like as a fucking side.
By the way, I don't know if you remember this, Kassad. It might have been before your era. I can't remember if you were still coaching back then, but you're back in the old days. If people don't know, aside from the Legends, you would still have people qualified online. But dude, no one ever got cheated in those online qualifiers. Like every big name pretty much made it. You remember how it was? Like the major would just be like the top 15, 16 teams pretty much.
Duncan, the game is infested with cheaters right now. It's massively infested with cheaters. The admins are incapable of and they're incompetent of doing it. PGL admins did a terrible job. We all know what happened in the 4 qualifiers in the open stage, right? Completely botched the whole thing. like against the rules, against the. Like, I personally said when I faced some whatever team in one of the qualifiers, I had to go myself and look at through these accounts of these random people with 0 level on Steam, with 200 hours, with banned account, with linked alt accounts who are banned multiple times and multiple accounts, and I sent this to the admin, and all I replied again, both players clear play. That's what they're not even grammatically correct. Both players clear play. That's what they said to me. I was like, yeah, okay. If they're cheating, they're cheating. And then you saw what happened to these Spanish guys because they were in one of the qualifiers. I think that got into the close qualifier. They played against cheaters and they got like reinstated into the qualifier later. Who the fuck does that? Let's have it more organized. Like it's a proper anti-cheat. Invest some money in that so we can have a legit fucking qualifier. Like that's the whole thing. Like, and if you switch teams, you lose your points, you lose your right to play in the next major, unless you are a core or whatever it is right now. And I'm not going to talk about the Swiss system and the best of one. That's just another subject. But overall, I do think that if you change the team, even if you start over, you need to start over from the beginning, no matter who you are or what you did in the last major.
Oh, by the way, we won't go into it. It'll take forever, but I definitely disagree with that last point. So because I change team and get paid a lot, I have to play random people. There's no sport in the world works that way. Like, wait a minute. So I've changed teams, right, Kassad? Now I should have to go and play like some team from Africa instead of the Premier League. Like, what are we doing at that point in time? What does that mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, if
you just said that Megas, because
if you are a dunker,
listen, because Megas changed teams.
Real Madrid.
Go on.
If you're a striker in Real Madrid.
Yep.
And you win the Champions League, you fucking win the La Liga, and you get fucking sold to Valencia. Are you expected to play Champions League even they were like 10th in the league last
I don't
season?
think that's analogy's fair, is it? Like, there's only like fucking like 3 or 4 teams in the league can make it in. So my point is this. By your analogy, forget even being in La Liga. You'd left Real Madrid. You now have to go into the African 3rd division in Somalia. And unless you can beat all those teams, you don't get back into La Liga. That would be your analogy. My point here is, you're missing the point here, Kassad. I never said, because Megas won the major, he should be at the major. My point is, like, why does he have to play? He would have, if he hadn't have signed these players, he would have had to start at like the beginning of the online qualifier, bro. The problem I've always had with the qualifier is this. Why is it all or nothing? Why is it total open qualifier or the RMR? There should be like 5 stages. Like I'm saying, that's why I give the football analogy. You can't be the best team in the 5th division in England and get promoted to the Premier League tomorrow. You have to wake your way up. But in the same way, if you get relegated, you don't go all the way down to the 5th division, do you? You go one step down.
You do.
So if you're Megas and you have a team that's like top 15 in the world, it's even in the rankings, bro, after kind of like, you should actually automatically be in the RMR, or you should be in the last match of the online qualifier, if you know what I mean. Should be tiered, in my opinion. That'll still give the random team a chance to make it, but I don't think it's fair that you throw like all these new teams just into the fire. I think if your team, the idea you had to play randoms is mental. Like, at least you have real players.
But like, they're meeting you halfway. They're giving you the core of 3 people.
Like,
if you have 3 people, then you're automatically in the RMR, right?
It's all good. It's all good on that one.
You're just giving up?
No, because I expressly said if he didn't sign the end score and didn't get the RMR spot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you have the core, then you were gonna get on that. You're gonna skip all those, like, all those online bullshit things. Like, if you had like certain amount of players, you cannot as an individual win the major and expect to be placed somewhere like in front of the.
You want a hot take? I'll spin it into a hot take. That system's stupid as fuck. Do you know why that system is stupid as fuck? Because that system says that if Ents just got fucking Snappy, Madden, and we'll say Diha, that's a slot for the RMR, but it's also a slot if instead the 3 players are Slappy, Nertz, and fucking Sampaio, arguably the 3 best players. Why is each slot identically equal? That's terrible, mate. Like,
60% of the team that actually made it.
You've just nailed it. You've literally made my point for me. It isn't 60% of the team. It's only 60% in a literal sense. Like, when Simple plays in Na'Vi, if I remove Simple from Na'Vi, are they 80% the same team? They only are in the sense of
look at it that way, because
of course you can.
No, but you cannot like have a one player takes up more than 20% of the slot and the team, right? It cannot be like that. No matter the performance, that's what you are wrong. Like, even though Simple, yes, he's the best player, he's the highest rated player, he cannot play 4v5. or 3v5. He needs to have 5 players or 4 next to him.
No, my point is this. What am I winning as a prize if I can take my 3 worst players and none of the stars that let me be that good? If I have the same prize, I get the same slot. So I get the same slot if I keep... Right, by the way, Nico, I'll do the same thing for G2, mate, right? Which one of these deserves an RMR slot? Huxley, JKS and fucking Hunter, or Nico Monesi and Hunter? Which one of those is better? By your logic, Kassad, it isn't different. They're identically the same.
It isn't different. It isn't different at all. I think it should be the same. I think
that's terrible, personally. I don't even know what the rule is. Like, I'd genuinely ask you this question. Abstractly, what is the rule that you're making? What are you protecting then? Why 3 then? It's an arbitrary number, right? Why not 2? Why not 4?
It's a majority, because it's 3. What makes the majority of 60%. If you take 2, it's less than 50%.
Which is you've nailed it. That's exactly what my point originally was. Is that if you ask who is the majority of the G2 lineup, I don't care that 3 of them out of 5, there's more people. They aren't more than Nico and Monesi.
Go to other teams, Duncan. That's the majority. The 3 people that didn't.
I'll tell you what, Maui. I know what the problem here is. He just really wants it to be that Magis doesn't get to be in the RMR article. Bizarrely, I don't know why. If I hadn't picked like a different example, apparently he'd be totally. Essentially, because Magis gets. He even said it earlier. His logic was because Magis gets 40k a month, he must beat every team of randoms. Like that's like a non sequitur to me, mate. Because I can tell you right now, team spirit that we just saw right now. Let me pick the 16 teams and put them in a LAN. I guarantee they won't win it. How about that, Kassad? Am I out of my mind by saying that? Let me pick the teams, mate. I'll pick some randos that play such bullshit CS. One of them will get them. All I need's one to get them.
Or LAN.
Because this is also another point. You know what?
Or LAN.
I'll make this the last point, because actually what you're nailing is exactly why I hate the open system. Because what we're all pretending is what you just said makes sense, and it doesn't. We're pretending that the world rankings is really who you would beat. So if you're ranked 3rd in the world, you would beat every team below you. That's not how games work. And so one of the reasons I hate this angle that if you're professional, you have to beat randoms, is the way randoms work is terrible for winning tournaments and fucking unbelievable for randomly winning against a good team once only. It's amazing, mate. I could show you some rando Russian team right now that'll rush the whole game and play super crazy, and they'll lose 99% of the games, but all they need is to win that one game in the qualifier against Magisk. That's it. But your logic is, because Magisk can't play complete randos, he then doesn't deserve to play against like fucking Heroic at the major or whatever. Like, why? It's a non sequitur to me. It's not even the same game you're playing. Like, if I gave the same example on any other name, you'd know exactly what I meant, but you just can't handle that one detail.
No, you should pick
that
another
one
name.
detail's doing my head in. It's all right.
Just pick any name that you want.
We'll just leave it there, mate. Just leave it there. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.